Bradley has been has been invited to another call in relation to COVID and the lockdown, or the restrictions rather, as to whether Lancashire sits in tier 2 or tier 3. And that has been ongoing now for a number of days, as members are well aware, and the government are still trying to do their best, along with the County Council, to persuade us that going into tier 3 would be a good thing, but give us no further financial support to cope with the consequences of doing so. So needless to say, the discussions continue. But thank you everyone for attending. Obviously we have some present members in the Lancastrian, as I can see on the screen, and we have others who are joining from home. Members of the public are welcome to observe from committee room. I'll be chairing the meeting. To say my name is Peter Wilson, and just to remind members, it's a Teams meeting and it is being recorded, so we can upload the video later. As usual with these meetings, I will invite members to use their raise hand function on your iPad. So I'd ask members to do that, and obviously I'll get assistance from Ruth, no doubt, if I've missed anyone off, because it is easy to miss people on the raise hands function, but please be patient. And then again, members are speaking, if we can refer to the page number and the paragraph, that helps everyone know that what we're referring to. If the technology fails, as always, I'll adjourn the meeting for a few moments while we try and resolve the issues. If not, we will have to try and find a new date for a meeting. So what I'd like to do is just ask the Cabinet members to confirm that they are here. So obviously we know Councillor Bradley isn't, but if we go through the rest of the members, Councillor Murray.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Dunn, I can already seen. There he is. Yes. Councillor Morwood again. I think I've already seen Councillor Morwood.
Yes, I'm here.
And Councillor Lowe, please.
Present, Chair.
Excellent. Okay, we'll crack on then. Item 1 is minutes of apologies for absence. We've had Councillor Bradley's. Is there any other apologies, Ruth?
Sorry, no, Chair.
No, thank you. Minutes of the last meeting on the 30th of July, pages 5 to 14. Is there any issues that anyone would like to? Well, first of all, anyone like to propose those minutes?
Move those, Chair.
Yep.
Thank you. Seconded.
Second, Chair.
And any issues there that anyone would like to raise on the accuracy of the minutes, not issues within them, just purely on the accuracy of the document typed up in front of you? No. In that case, I will assume that everyone is okay with that. That's, as far as I know, if we take that as no one against, I'll only go for against, because I presume we'll all be in favour. Silence is golden. Wonderful. Item 2, declarations of any interest. Again, I take silence as golden, in which case there isn't. Item 3, public questions.
No public questions have been received, Chair.
Thank you very much. Item 4 is the Tatton development, pages 15 to 20. As we are aware, Councillor Bradley isn't here, so now I've got to nominate someone to do it for him. I presume, would Mark or Rachel like to run through that report for us, just to give us an outline?
I'm happy to do it, Chair, unless Rachel's got a strong feeling about it.
No, you carry on, Mark. That's fine.
There you are. She's very, very kind of her. Very kind of her. You can fire away, Mark.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. This is quite a straightforward report, which seeks to cover two issues. One is to present the shortlisted options for the names of the Tatton development and the process for how the name will be chosen. And the other is to present the draft eligibility criteria for the extra care element of the scheme. There are a series of recommendations there from paragraphs 3 to 8. Both of them relate to those first 2 points. The final recommendation relates to just some basic delegation to officers to sign a number of documents. Some of those are statutory agreements relating to very interesting works such as sewer abandonment, stopping up order for Silverdale Road and the roadworks. And the other one is a positive one in as much as it's the permissions to sign off the funding agreement for the Getting Building funding that we've been awarded in principle to date. We are still waiting board agreement on that. Contained within the report are some details in terms of the background to the scheme. Also, an explanation of the local links. We have undertaken consultation with local ward members to come up with a short list of names, and the intention is not for members to decide that tonight, but to agree the short list and the principle of us consulting with the wider community in helping them, in them selecting the name, hence the reason why we want to do it so early. The second part is the allocations policy. I'm not intending to go through that in detail. It does largely mirror the successful allocations policy that we introduced for Primrose Gardens. However, through consultation with members in developing the policy, a couple of suggestions were made to provide the council with some flexibility around that policy, so that where you've got certain circumstances where, and an example is given, where you may have a couple where one member of the partnership is eligible or one ineligible, the council should have the discretion to actually allocate on that basis. Within the policy and the wording of the policy, there will be other circumstances in which that discretion can be exercised. I don't intend to go through the full policy because, as I say, it does mirror Primrose Gardens. And then there's a section explaining the technical aspects of agreements the council needs to sign, and a section which describes the next steps. Is that okay, Chair? I'm happy to take any questions.
It's absolutely fine with me. Are there any questions or comments would members like to raise their hand if so? I've got one raised hand from Councillor Morwood.
Well, thank you, Chair. Simply just to say that it sounds very sensible to follow the Primrose Gardens line. That's been very successful, so I'm sure the Tatton, whatever it's called, and will be just as, hopefully just as successful. And the names look very interesting, and I'm sure it'll be. We look forward to seeing which one's decided. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Morwood. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Holgate.
So, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a query on the allocations policy. If it is mirroring, let's try that again, mirroring that of our previous development, Primrose Gardens. I remember that one of the reasons that the County Council had some influence, but not a great deal of influence on the allocation rights, was because they put in a capital sum. Are we expecting a capital sum from them on this particular development, or is that just wishful thinking?
Mark, do you want to come back on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Holgate's quite right in that one of the reasons the county were involved last time was because of the capital contribution. They are not making a capital contribution this time, but we still see them as an integral partner because they are the commissioning body for the adult social care and wraparound care elements of the scheme, hence the reason they still have an involvement. Although we have mirrored the Primrose Gardens allocations procedure, what was evident in the first one and still remains is that there is a local priority in terms of priorities given to Chorley residents. And ultimately, if we read all of the detail, Chorley has the final say.
Okay, that's reassuring. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Councillor France, Margaret France.
Oh, thank you. Just to say, I'm very reassured to hear that concept has been taken up, whereby if two people are living in one of the apartments and one of them dies, that the other person, if they're not themselves eligible, if the allocation isn't then going to be asked to leave. I think that's really important, and thanks for that.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Hargreaves.
Thank you, Chair. Just to mark, we had a debate on about age and age capping about who would be eligible to actually have a place in there. I can't remember, we decided that it didn't really matter, particularly for couples. And am I right? Can you just remind me what we decided when we had that discussion on age and capping the age eligibility?
Mark?
Yeah, my recollection and understanding was that we were using the same lower threshold as Primrose Gardens in terms of the intended beneficiaries of the scheme, but that would not apply if you had a member of a couple who were securing a joint tenancy where one of them met the criteria and required the care needs, and the other one was a younger member of the partnership. They'd still be eligible as tenants.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much. Thank
Okay.
you.
I have no other members indicating to speak or ask a question. I'll just make sure I go through my list once more. No. Okay, in that case, thank you, Mark, for going through the report. In Alistair's absence, I'm happy to propose the recommendations in paragraphs 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Are there anyone who will second that, please?
I'm happy to second.
Second.
Peter.
Well, it needs to be a cabinet member, Yvonne.
Has to be.
Despite your,
Yeah.
I appreciate your keenness, but not.
Happy to second that, Chair.
Thank you. And in that case, can I ask if members are happy with that? Again, I'll ask for any votes against that from cabinet members. Otherwise, I will assume, I'll take it that everyone is happy to approve it. Excellent. Okay, we'll take that as approved then. Item 5 is the Chorley Council Registered Provider Partnership Framework, which is on pages 21 to 30. Again, this is Alistair's item. I'm again happy to propose, but I don't know which officer wants to take us through the report. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I can do that. I drafted the report. It's Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine. Sorry, I was just checking. I didn't realise you were there. Great, lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So we've in Appendix 1 of the report, we've set out a draft registered provider partnership framework, which is basically a strategic partnership between the council and registered providers that wish to work within the borough, and it will give the council direct control over the allocation of affordable housing units that are secured through Section 106 agreements. Because at the moment, they're secured through the Section 106, and the developer can then sell on those affordable units to any registered provider. There's usually a bidding war between them, and they can go to any registered provider. And there's been an issue in recent years with RPs coming into the borough and buying these units that don't currently have any relationship to the borough. They're not part of Select Move, which causes problems with advertising units. So the purpose of this piece of work is to just give the council that control over who gets those units, and also give the council opportunity to secure some of those units as well. So in Appendix 1, the draft framework is set out. So it includes all the membership criteria. So that is how we will decide which RPs can apply to be part of the framework. It also includes the allocation process. So it was agreed that we would give the council first approval of any of the affordable units that are secured, and then if the council does not wish to take on those units, the developer can offer them to another RP on the framework. And we would also have fixed transfer prices to avoid the bidding wars that we've had in previous years, and so that will dictate what they have to sell those units to the RP. And we're also proposing to charge a fee of £500 per unit, so obviously generate some income for the council in bringing this framework forward. So the purpose of this report is just to approve the draft framework for consultation. So we will then consult on it with developers and RPs, and following that we'll set up a selection panel, and they will then determine which RPs are part of the framework, and hopefully we can implement it in about April time next year. And it will then feed into any Section 106 agreements that are signed from then onwards, and we can start to have that control.
Excellent. Thank you, Catherine. Are there any members who'd like to ask questions or make any comments in relation to the report? I'm seeing a complete lack of hands. There we are.
Well, just to make sure there is some enthusiasm, I think it's
Steve, do you want to
put
your hand up before you cut it in? Because Councillor Dunn's just put his hand up, you see,
All
so I was
right.
about to call him and get off
There
and
you go.
started. So I'll go to Councillor Dunn
Oh.
and then we'll come back to you to say what a
I'll
wonderful
get
thing it
second
is.
back to the chair.
That's right, Councillor Dunn.
I'm not going to say very much, don't worry. I mean, this is obviously very sensible because it offers us a way out of chaos, basically, and gets some order in the camp. And it also puts Chorley Council where it needs to be, at the heart of this, and it facilitates our ambition to grow ourselves as a housing provider. And it is about the maintenance of quality also. I mean, interestingly, the new planning regulations and things, one of the few good bits of it, it may offer us more leverage in this area anyway. But there we are. I think it's obviously a good thing.
Thanks for that, Graham. Steve, would you like to come back now?
Yeah, fine. I think it is a good idea. I think it's important that we recognise, and other people are forced to recognise, that we are the housing authority. Just because we don't have a significant amount of stock at the moment doesn't mean we shouldn't be having due influence to make sure that those housing providers that are operating the borough are actually, committed to the borough in the same way as we are as an authority. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I've no other raised hands, so again, I presume everyone's happy with the report. So thank you for that, Catherine. I did propose, I take Graham's comments that he's happy to second.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So we are recommending that we approve the RP partnership framework for consultation. As Catherine said, there it is to go out to consultation. Again, I take that cabinet members are in favour. Unless anyone wishes to object or abstain, please do so now. No. Excellent. Okay. In that case, that item is approved. Item 6 is the Revenue and Capital Monitoring Report, pages 31 to 52. And now this is going to require me to go, and I'm going to get my papers up. So just bear with me 1 second, colleagues, while I go back into my ModGov. Okay, so we are pages 31, which basically we've got, if members refer to the recommendations first, which is to note the budget position and also the reserves and the capital programme as well. I think what's crucial about this, or I'll say crucial, what's highlighted in this report is that when we look at the where we are in the financial position, obviously significant changes have taken place in recent months due to COVID. That has had an impact in terms of our financial position. So what we face now is a slightly more uncertain future, and that means it's uncertain in terms of the money that we get, the income that we get from council tax and business rates, both as businesses struggle and as people, of course, struggle in their financial position, and therefore that's an impact on the council tax. In addition to that, members will recall that the action we had to take in relation to the All Seasons Leisure Centre in Brinscall, Baths and Clayton, when our new provider, leisure provider, pulled out, and of course the council had to take on that responsibility. So when we add in those factors, we can see that the position now in terms of the council's budget is still healthy, in the sense that we're not in debt. We've not got the problems that other councils have got with huge deficits, but we do show a forecast overspend of £81,000. Now, I will say as £81,000, that is not a problem. That can be found, and that budget can be balanced. That's not the issue. I think what the paper tells us, though, is that we can commit to all our programme. We can commit to all the capital works that we've got planned, such as Tatton, such as Whittle, such as Westway, and we can continue business as usual. So that in itself is a good position. But what it does say is times are getting tough, as it were, because of course now we're actually in a position where we're just about managing to balance the books and do everything we can do with a forecast of things getting worse in the future. So it is a more sobering report in that sense, given the position we face. But at the same time, we're still in a position where we can continue with the programme we have planned. We can continue to deliver the key projects. We can continue to do our business as usual. And we're still getting good revenue from our Market Walk, from the Market Walk extension. That's still important to us, as is the other assets that we own in the borough as well. So it is a positive position to be in, but at the same time, it's worth noting that things are getting tighter. And that's why I would remind members, obviously, as we come to both the corporate planning in November and budget in the new year. On that, I'll say no more, but I'm happy to take any questions or any comments on that. Graham, you still got your hand up. Is that a hand up on this or a hand up from last time?
That's the new hand up.
Right, okay, far away then, far away.
I just wanted to say that on Wednesday, I've not written this up yet, but I was fortunate enough to attend, or unfortunate enough to attend, the DCN Assembly. And one of the very good contributions came from a finance guy from the IFS, who pointed out that local authorities generally had a 17% decline in real terms funding since 2010, and per capita it was 22%, because obviously the population has grown. But for district councils, the decline in income has been 40%. And the estimated shortfall for 2021 among councils is estimated at going to be 3.1 billion. And shire districts have the biggest percentage unfunded financial pressures. Now, I think that what Peter had to say needs to be judged in that particular context, because I think the position we're in is patently much better than the average position for districts, irrespective of party political complexion, and that what has been achieved since 2010 and what has been achieved in the last 12 months says a lot for the management by officers and by this council during that period. And I hope everybody understands that, because the amount of weeping and gnashing of teeth is something among the generality of district councils is something to behold, quite honestly.
Okay, thanks for that, Graham. Councillor Lowe.
Thank you, Chair. Just very quickly, 2 points. Really, I think the report says about the impact of COVID on our income stream, whether it's council tax collection or whatever, or generated income from investments that we've made, which is crucial. But just a quick reference to paragraph 15. I welcome the 100,000 into the CCT operations to improve that. And also, I think, as you, Chair, have pointed out on a number of occasions, the 203,000 for the business rate retention because of the uncertainty.
Thanks, Adrian. Councillor Holgate. Are you there, Steve?
Sorry, I am here now.
I can
yes.
hear lots of breathing, but no talking. Yeah, go on.
Can you hear me now?
Can, yeah.
Ah, good. Sorry about that. Right, I am breathing, yeah. Your description of tougher times to come, I think that the only real benefit that we get from that is that we actually know that it's due, and I just wondered if there was a possibility of maximising the benefits we get through working with local charitable organisations to deliver some of the services that are clearly going to be coming under some pressure going forward. Is there somebody going to take a look at the opportunities there, and would that be a thing to do?
I'm sure it would.
That's
I'm
not me
sure...
breathing, by the way.
No, don't worry, don't worry. I'm sure Councillor Murray would is probably more knowledge of this than me in terms of the work with the voluntary sector and what we can do. But you're right, Steve. I think there's also an opportunity to look at new ways of working as well. That's the probably what you're getting at really is more what else can be done. I mean, we've already done a lot, remember, in terms of working with groups in Chorley to help people during COVID. And people even now I took a call last week from a gentleman who was in need of significant help and support, and I spoke to Angela and the team and the services that we offer, in order to go and support him. So I don't think we should forget what is being doing, which is a significant amount of work in the community with voluntary groups as well. But you're right, Steve, there's perhaps more need for that in the future because people are going to need help in a variety of forms. Councillor Walker, I have your hand up.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Paragraph 26, it says, as a result of the COVID-19 lockdown, the council's external contractors for maintenance are getting behind with their work. Have you taken on any new contractors just to help out and get things back on stream or not?
For maintenance, sorry, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, maintenance, yes. Yeah.
Just bear with me.
Paragraph 26.
Got it. Right. Yeah. Is that Councillor Lodi? Is that one of yours, or is that who's best to come back on that? I'll throw it open to one of our officers if not.
I think, Chair, in terms of that appears to be repairs and maintenance to buildings, which obviously doesn't cover my portfolio.
It's not yours. No.
Well, if they'll get, somebody probably can let me know.
I was going to say, I don't know where everyone's disappeared to, Councillor Walker. I think our officers must be mute tonight. Does someone want to speak or make me very angry?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's James here. My hand is up. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it is up.
Fire away.
So we can certainly provide the figures for that, but essentially what it is a reprofiling of the maintenance because we've not been able to start it at the beginning of the year. We have an annual maintenance budget of over 150,000 that we get through, and just due to the delay with that, we're going to be reprofiling it. The work will still get done; it's just a little bit delayed, really. So anything that, and Mark might be able to correct me on this, but anything that is urgent will obviously be getting done. This is just profiled maintenance, which will just be moved back. But I'll try and get you the figures for that. So.
Okay.
Thanks,
you,
James. Thanks, John.
Can I just ask one more question? It's just the digital park must be a bit of a worry for everybody. What we're down by nearly £400,000 on revenue for this year. Is there anything that's been done to try and alleviate this or get it back on stream?
Absolutely there is, and already with some success, I believe. But I'll let Mark answer that.
Thanks, Chair. It is obviously a concern to all of us, and it couldn't have come at a worse time, the whole pandemic situation, in terms of the inroads we were making. We are now running on the fixed offices at around 50% occupancy. We have 3 new tenancies that are currently being processed at the moment, which will take us to 60% by the beginning of November. So the direction of travel is the right direction. I wouldn't want to say I'm assuring members that we're going to get back to the position that we need to be by the end of the financial year. It's just merely reporting that we're going in the right direction. There are other measures that we're taking in terms of we've managed to negotiate a relaxation of some of the criteria for the tenants with the funding body for the ERDF, which enables us to take in other forms of business other than specifically digital and creative. So that has had an impact on the lettings, and we've developed a broader hot desking offer, which is far more flexible, not only in terms of the type of business, but the type of commitment that businesses need to make. And we've produced some marketing materials for that. I think one of the other significant things that has changed since the reporting period is we had a several week period where the building was effectively closed. And one of the key areas of income is the meeting room income. And so we had no income whatsoever from that source during that period. During the period that we actually reopened, but the meeting rooms were still closed, we were receiving multiple inquiries from organisations, despite the fact that people were working from home, and we're doing really well on the meeting room bookings as well now. So we're hoping to claw back some of that position is the key message. But I wouldn't want members to go away with the impression that we'll be able to make it all back in that period of time.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John. Councillor Murray.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It was just to follow up what Steve was saying. We are looking at how we work with the voluntary sector and volunteering in general. Unfortunately, Steve, for a number of years, charities have been picking up statutory services now, and it looks like it's going to continue. So we do need to keep it under review.
Thanks for that. Any other comments or questions? No. Good. Right. In that case, I've recommended, proposed rather, recommendations, paragraph 2, 3, and 4. Is there a seconder for that, please?
Seconded.
Thanks, Adrian. Anyone against that report? Otherwise, I'll take it that everyone is in favour. No. Good. Right. Item 7 is corporate performance framework review. I can see that Vicky's on the call. I will, if Vicky is okay, do you want to just briefly outline what's been the report, please?
Yes, no problem. Thank you. Good evening. So this is the corporate performance management framework, and essentially it's an internal process for how we manage our performance and how we review that. So it is a guide for officers primarily, and it's been reviewed on the basis that we're now a shared performance and partnerships team. So it's presented a bit of an opportunity to have a look at that and then to make sure that it works for both councils. So it's important in that it sets out the expectations, well, what members can expect in terms of performance reporting through the various forums, committees and meetings. And ultimately the key changes have been around language, and then we've given it a slightly different structure and made it a bit prettier and a bit easier for officers to interact with. So it should be a more accessible document. So yes, potentially a bit of a bland one, but important nonetheless. So I think happy to take any comments or feedback on that one. We're just looking for approval to go ahead and get this implemented now.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Any comments or questions? No hands up. Okay. In that case, again, as that's my report, I'm happy to propose that. Is there a seconder?
Second, Chair.
Thanks, Alistair. The recommendation is to approve the corporate performance framework as a shared policy document. Again, I take it that members are in favour unless anyone wishes to say that they are against or abstain. No. Excellent. Okay, in that case, that item's approved. Item 8 is the leisure contract approval to use UK leisure procurement framework. Councillor Murray.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is to gain approval to use an existing UK leisure framework to deliver any capital projects that might need to be done at the leisure centres. Members will recall at full council a budget was set aside for improvements to the leisure centre. I think it's quite fair to say that Active Nation towards the end of the contract tended to neglect the centres, and they did start to look rather old and tired. Now the centres have come back in-house. I believe it is essential that some work is undertaken, and this framework allows us to do this. If we didn't approve it, it would mean we would have to go through a separate process, and we just don't have the expertise. So I would like to move the recommendations on page 137.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Any comments or questions on that report? Well, Councillor Morwood.
Just a quick one. Yes, I mean I think it's ideal is to follow this. I see that some of the work I think has already started. Big improvement I saw in the car park. I mean that was unbelievably difficult to get around, and it has been opened this week. Is that right?
Yeah, the centres are open. Had a couple of teething problems, really, as you would expect. It's all been deep cleaned. All the Active Nation stuff is now out of there. We've done some sort of painting where notice boards have come down, etc. And the staff have transferred over to the council now. Just for members' information, we are looking at what we might do if the centres close, because obviously the staff now are part of the council.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alistair. Councillor Dunn.
Yes. Just an observation, really. I'm absolutely delighted that this work's going to take place, but I know you said that it didn't take place during the latter days of the previous contractor, and we are looking at how we might let the contractor manage these in future to outside organisations. I wouldn't like to see us get into a cycle whereby organisations take it on, take profits out of what they're managing, and then things get difficult and they come out of the contract, and then we spend a lot of money doing them up again. In other words, the profits are there to be taken, the losses and the major costs fall on the authority, and I hope we'll be very careful about this and how we frame contracts in future.
Yeah, I think you're right, Councillor Dunn. And it wasn't that they didn't stay, they didn't go out of the contract, or they did the bare minimum, so I'll put it that way.
Okay, thanks for that. Anyone else wish to ask a question or make a comment on that? No, I have no raised hands. In that case, we've had a proposal from Councillor Murray. Would anyone like to second the recommendations in paragraph 3 and 4? Thank you, Graham. Again, I'll take that Cabinet members are in favour. Unless anyone wishes to object or abstain, please speak now. No, in that case, we're in favour of that. Thank you, that's approved. Item 9 is the exclusion of the press and the public. Oh, I shall propose that. Would someone like to second that, please?
Seconded.
Thanks, Adrian. In that case, can we stop recording, please?